Hi, my friends. I hope you're doing well. My name is May, and I help people who are stuck or confused in their mental health journey learn how healing works so symptoms stop controlling their lives and they can start to build a life that feels fulfilling and worthy of living to them. And today I want to talk about anxiety. Anxiety is a big one, so I have some notes, but I really just want to talk about like general framework to think about healing anxiety, dealing with anxiety, and learn what way works best for you. So let's jump right in. I think the first thing that I think about when I think about healing anxiety is, what is anxiety like for you? Like, let's really define what your anxiety kind of comes up as, because it's different for everyone. I'm gonna read off some of the general signs, but really thinking about all the different ways anxiety shows up for you. Like, how does it show up mentally, emotionally, physically? Right? Does your heart rate go faster? Does your mind start panicking? Do you have a felt sense of anything? Or is it just physical to you? Are there any narratives that kind of show up? This is all information that, can help really solidify how to help heal it, right? So I'm just gonna read some stuff here. And so anxiety can show up in ways like excessive worrying about a particular topic. I put or just generally because sometimes we just be having anxiety about everything. Shortness of breath, chest pain or tightness, air hunger, which is having a hard time getting full of air or a full satisfying breath, and heart palpitations. Some other stuff includes vertigo, tunnel vision, loss of balance, dizziness, brain fog, memory issues, irritability, mood swings, obsessive thinking, of racing thoughts, scary thoughts, paranoia, hallucinations, nightmares, nocturnal panic attacks, and confusion. That's a lot of things. Okay. What even is anxiety at that point? I think that's why it's important to understand how it comes up for you. Because for some people, when they're really anxious, perhaps hallucinations do show up. For other people, that actually might just show up but mildly as well, and you just kind of have to deal with that, your mind literally playing tricks on you, because it's normal to deal with things like hallucinations, but anyway, and hearing voices. Wow, people do it every day. Anyway, if you saw yourself in any of those things or multiple things or all of it, I think it's just important to have that in mind going forward. So the cultural narrative that we could hear when we think about hearing anxiety could be pushing it down, pushing through. Okay, lots of people try that one, using meds and doing psychiatry to make the anxiety go away, and general nervous system things. So things like deep breathing, meditation, yoga. And you also may have heard about holistic remedies like tea or certain substances that could help with anxiety. I feel now I'm just listing off all the ways that we think about healing about anxiety. So if you want to use or think it might be helpful to use substances, know the risk, really, because for some people it can cause breaks in reality and addiction and things like that. And I think it's just important to have those safety nets in place in case any of those things do happen. But it can also just be such a tool for deep healing. So I kind of think about this in multiple ways. So now that I've kind of laid it out, let's talk about how it could relate to your healing journey. I think it's important to talk once we talked about the ways anxiety shows up for you, that'll kind of then inform a bit about how you want to try to heal it. So for example, if you know that your anxiety shows up very physically, right? Maybe there's not a lot of panicked thoughts and there's not, a lot of feelings involved. It's just you just feel oh my God, I'm about to die. My heart's racing. Then perhaps nervous system retraining and or medication, substances, whatever is the path for you, right? Then okay, let's try the holistic stuff maybe. Let's go to acupuncture. Let's try breathing, right? It's like nervous system regulation, polyvagal. Like, let's go down that route. If you know that it is in your mind, right, that you have a lot of racing thoughts, perhaps like a lot of different beliefs about the world, that the world's unsafe, the world is scary, people are going to hate me, like people don't like me, they're going to think I'm crazy if I be myself, whatever it is. Perhaps things like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, could help, or affirmations, right, neuroplasticity, like rewiring your brain. Yeah, I hope you can see kind of how those two things relate in terms of knowing how it shows up for you and then targeting that way. Other ways that you can have more of a direction of how to heal your anxiety. One is finding the why. So I'm always so big about the why, okay? Because whys are so important. So you're actually trying to find two whys when it comes to why. So one is why you're anxious, and the other is why you want to deal with your anxiety. So first, let's deal with why you're anxious. This framework might be very familiar if you watched my depression video. You can check that out. I'll probably have it linked below. If not, it's on my channel. So we need to figure out the underlying cause of the anxiety, and you may not know, and also maybe a multitude of things. Okay, healing is complicated. Healing can be so much, okay? It can be a lot to like tease all of this out, but that's the word. Is teasing all of it out and like figuring it out and then dealing with it, right? One is like, is it genetic? Okay, is your body kind of like predisposed? Like, is it a literal chemical imbalance? It could be, okay. Or perhaps it is a learned pattern that you learned in childhood, that your body is now like, okay, when I'm around a certain situation, a certain type of people, that my body feels unsafe. It could be from a traumatic experience, like you, I don't know, have trauma from going into a grocery store. I don't know why I thought of that, but that's where my brain went. So, and now every time you go into a grocery store, like, all of these sort of like things come back to you. You start having so much anxiety, panic attack. Like, when you know your root cause, you can then work from there as well on how to heal. And if you don't do that, then you might be working in the wrong direction. So if you have a lot of panicked thoughts, but you are trying deep breathing, that might be the wrong way to work, because you're trying to heal in a way that is not actually suiting your needs. Maybe it also doesn't suit like what your body needs emotionally, right? Like maybe taking in deep breaths can be triggering in some sort of way. Trauma and how our brain and bodies like rewire just make some of this stuff so messy sometimes. I know I'm kind of getting a little bit into trauma and anxiety, but all of this stuff is just so linked sometimes. And it's hard to kind of talk about one and not like bring other things in, because there's just such a vast like experience with people. And sometimes even if you're having like panic thoughts, maybe the nervous system stuff is what you need, because you might notice like, okay, if I slow down my breathing, do my thoughts start to change, right? Or do I change what thoughts I'm trying to think, like challenge all the thoughts, and my body calms down, right? We're gonna get into the framework and how to like do all of this stuff in a second, but it's kind of why it's important to really hone in on, why you have anxiety, and then what worked and why. Okay, so if you know you have anxiety because of a certain belief about the world's unsafe, and you know that doing deep breathing will help calm those thoughts down and help you like rewire them and be like, okay, I am safe here, I'm with this person, like whatever it is. Why did it help? Because your nervous system calmed down, and so your brain went slower, or was it a different reason, right? Like what was the contributors there? Because then you can kind of work on that more and more and kind of like build upon that, basically. Generally too, anxiety is your body and brain trying to protect you from something. So what are they trying to protect from? Oh my gosh, you could see my kit. She made an appearance. Yeah, what are you trying to protect from? Okay, this is another part of this that I think comes after like the whys and everything like that, because you're kind of, this could be the actual whys, like what you're trying to protect yourself from. But I kind of think of this more as like the deeper reason and the deeper work that might take a like a longer time to change and rewire in your body. And you kind of have that information on what cat's like running all around you. When you have that information on what it's trying to protect you from, it, you know, sometimes just logically knowing, like, okay, I know that I am trying to protect myself from like getting attacked again if I have, you know, trauma around being attacked. So I'm like, I, you know, protect myself by maybe carrying something around. I know who to call. I share my location. Like, there's so many different, you know, ways I am protecting myself. So sometimes you can just really think about it logically and that's enough. Other times, like, your body doesn't know the difference and your brain is trying so hard to protect you, right? Like, you know, it could be, you know, you're having so many intrusive thoughts or obsessive thoughts about safety, you know, and that's when trying different things like nervous system regulation and neuroplasticity, retraining your brain, can be really helpful, because that's the longer work, I feel like, is really truly rewiring your brain and body system if that has been messed up for you. Can you make a decision? She's like not deciding what she wants right now. So yeah, basically thinking about what it's protecting you from is making it so you can challenge it, right? You can try to change that response within your body and train your body to be like, we don't have to be protected from this anymore. It's not something that is also be emotional. Okay, it could be about vulnerability with other people. Maybe you got hurt in the past in some sort of way. Like maybe, you know, that could be from like anxious attachment style, right? Where you are anxious about people. I'm laughing because it's me. I'm laughing because it's me. Where you are anxious because other people have, you know, there could be like a story about being abandoned, or, you know, maybe you just fell really deeply for someone, and then, or your parents, like you really loved your parents, but they didn't really love you back, or didn't give you love in the way that you needed, and it caused that sort of like anxious attachment wound. Okay, so the other why is, why do you want your anxiety to get better? And this is important because if you don't have your why, then it's going to be hard to really commit yourself to that healing path. I kind of say this very generally. You might have, again, heard this in my depression video, but having the why sets you on your path when you are in the thick of healing. If you have been on your healing journey for anxiety for a long time, then you know how hard healing is, right? You know that this shit is real, and that you have tried so many things and shit ain't working, and you're frustrated, and maybe you've given up. I feel like I have to give up healing like every week, I'm not gonna lie, where there's like a moment where I'm just like, I'm surrendering to fucking whatever powers that be. Like, I cannot hold on to all of this and deal with all this inside of me right now. And that's okay, because sometimes you need that like intentional distraction or surrender, it's whatever it is. And it's important after that to kind of reground yourself and, you know, recommit yourself to the path when like you're able to, right? It's hard and we have to do it because that is the work, okay? Because, and for me, you know, I want to feel more calm so I can be more present with the people who are close to me, and I can actually like embrace them and like really savor the good experiences that I have with these people, right? And not be so anxious or like running around or thinking about, you know, my business or my future or blah, blah, blah. I'm just actually present in that moment with these people and enjoying myself and enjoying them. You know, that's just one of the reasons, but, you know, others is just like, I just don't want anxiety to rule my actions. I want to have my actions ruled by what I think and what I believe, not just what I feel or my body is telling me, because I know I'm going to be more in line with my values. So it's finding your why is like a whole thing. Okay, I you can just really just like, why do you want to get better? It really could be as simple as, I just don't want to feel this way anymore, and that's good. That's important. I always challenge people to think of positive things. What are the positive aspects of you not having anxiety anymore? Because, you know, it's not just what we're trying to dismantle or get rid of, it's what we're working towards. So it just like reframes it in your brain a bit so you can get closer to that thing you want. So, you know, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm going to feel more calm. Okay. I just want to feel more calm. I want to feel happy about life. I want to feel whatever it is. Okay. So once you have those two whys, the other ways I kind of think about this are ways to cope, ways to live, and the framework for healing. So let's jump into all three of those. So coping, we've talked a lot about this in this video kind of already, but I think about it in terms of thoughts, in terms of nervous system, and then in terms of emotion. So, with thoughts, I think thought stopping, where you kind of really challenge the anxious thought, can be really helpful. Or rewiring, where it's like, I'm unsafe, oh my god, people hate me, whatever it is. And you're like, actually, no, I think even if they did, it's fine. Oh my god, even if people did, it's fine. A lot of like brain rewiring, because our brains are going to go down the path that it's already been traveling, right? That's just literally how brains work, is when they experience certain stimuli and experience, they're going to have a certain reaction. So whatever your reaction is to anxiety right now will probably continue until we're able to really rewire it. So the other way I think about it is nervous system. So this is the way I think a lot of people tend to think about it. So yoga, deep breathing, and this is because it can be very helpful when we're trying to activate the parasympathetic nervous system rather than the sympathetic system. That is the flight, fight, and freeze. So different ways of essential oils and grounding and yoga, deep breathing, whatever just helps slow down. Okay, how can we help slow down? I love listening to frequencies, okay, like frequency music or whatever. I feel like it just kind of I can just kind of lean into it. But what can you lean into? And sometimes it's just a glimmer, okay? Sometimes it's just a little bit, because that little bit can, be stretched out more and more and more over time. I just my mouth is there. But it can be stretched out more and more over time. Because for some people with healing, that really is the work. We have to start with you listen to a frequency for 5 seconds, and for 5 seconds you feel your body go a little bit deeper into regulation, and then you go back. We had those 5 seconds. Let's see if we can lengthen those 5 seconds to more, or put those 5 seconds into a different activity and see if that helps, and we can strengthen it that way. And then lastly, I think emotionally, so are you feeling scared? Right? Do you need to curl up into a ball and help your body feel safe? What emotionally helps you feel safer? A lot of times it's when we're in our home, right? We feel safer in our home, or if our home is a certain way, if home does feel unsafe to you. Other times it's a different place you can land, right? Tell my cat to calm down. So beyond coping, I think why you're healing, I think this is also really important to know that, because what are we rewiring our nervous system to? What are we trying to change our nervous system to? Okay. And I'm actually going to leave this out. I don't really have anything for this. So you might know this framework already, but if you don't, the framework about healing is why you have anxiety plus experimentation. Why you have anxiety equals intentional experimentation, and then you analyze how that experiment landed, and then you rinse and repeat the intentional action and result. Okay, and there's a lot of kind of things you have to do in that, but that's just the general framework. Let me make sure I put this in. Yeah, y equals action equals experimentation equals rinse and repeat. Action and experimentation. And when we're thinking about experimentation, we're really thinking about some of the things I alluded already into this video. What worked and what didn't work when we tried deep breathing? Okay, did it feel inauthentic? Did it not feel good to my body? Did it make me more stressed? Did it not change anything at all? Because when we have that information, we can use that information to be okay, deep breathing itself didn't work, but my nervous system did feel a little bit more calm, and that did feel good, and that felt for maybe it's not the just desired result. It didn't help me calm down that much, but it did help a little bit. Okay, we're gonna work towards nervous system regulation. Let's continue down that path and try these different tools. I love polyvagal theory. I always talk about the nervous system, but thought rewiring too, right? So yeah, when we're talking about if the result was helpful, right? And then getting into the intentional action, we're like, okay, now we're going to try nervous system stuff. So I hope you can kind of see like how that kind of builds off each other. It's like, you know, we picked nervous system regulation because we know that my body gets like really dysregulated and my heart's racing. So we did deep breathing. Deep breathing didn't help very much, but it did help me feel a little bit more calm. Okay, so now we're going to go try some oils. Maybe, and smells. Maybe that'll help calm me down. Okay, it didn't help calm me down very much, and it actually overstimulated me. Okay, so let's try yoga and deep breathing together. Maybe we need a little bit more action while we're doing deep breathing. Hey, my body felt like it was a lot more calm because I was able to focus on something while I was also doing deep breathing. I hope you can see how this kind of compounds on each other, right? And you keep searching, keep experimenting and exploring until you get your desired result. And if you're not getting your desired result, then, you know, I think this is when maybe you reach out to professionals and people who have expertise in the field. So this sort of things like therapy and coaching. So if you have tried a lot of strategies and different things and you didn't feel like it helped, I have a webinar that as of right now I'm doing bi-weekly on Sundays or Saturdays. I'm doing it bi-weekly on Saturdays about how to develop strategies that actually work and, you know, won't take years and years and won't fizzle out. Let me just say that again. I have a webinar that I'm doing on Saturdays, you know, bi-weekly, about how to find your healing path and develop strategies that won't fizzle out and won't take years to develop and change your, you know, body's and brain's response. I also have a video training that is about why healing is hard and some things you can do to change that. I'll leave both of those in the description. I'll be talking about this stuff also too on this channel. So both of those are free, and also I'll be talking about the stuff on the channel, so feel free to subscribe and like the video. Turn on the bell if you want. I'm a small creator, so your support means the world if you do decide to subscribe, so thank you. And I will see you all in the next video where I'm going to talk about trauma. Oh my god, exciting. I'm really exciting. No, it's such a weird dichotomy. I get excited about this stuff, but it's also sad and draining and a lot. So it's holding all the parts of it. So yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.